Okay, it's Monday, June 5th. This is an end of the day SPY recap, first day of the week. You can see we end up with a 2-up kind of failure looking bar. We took out the high of the previous day for the 2-up, but we closed a little bit red. So given the fact that we've been up pretty strong here, especially the last 2 days with a big gap, not surprising you're getting a little pause. You're still biased to the upside overall with this target up here at the red line. We've discussed that on the weekly chart, as we move higher here in this trend, you can see this is a kind of the target we're going for, but even 3 weeks in a row green, you can expect a little bit of a pause as well as we head up there. Don't have to get there, but that's kind of what you're anticipating, and you're at a little exhaustion risk. So today, you're above the midpoint of the prior day, so you're still biased to the upside in general starting out. And if we look at the structure and how the day unfolded, the pre-market range was here between the blue lines, and it's kind of good when you have that below the high of the previous day because you're kind of expecting that green bar high to be taken out, and that's what happened right out of the gates here. But if you're just kind of trading on the 15-minute chart, you're just watching that first bar, and you can see you got a pretty big sell-off by the end of the bar. Then the next bar kind of comes down, but that doesn't reach the pre-market lows, and that kind of holds a little bit near the open of the day. And then the next bar, there's a big economic report right at the open at 9 o'clock, and price immediately went up but didn't quite reach the intraday high and then came all the way down. At that point, closing red, you're kind of anticipating taking out the pre-market lows, not necessarily ready to go short because you're above the midpoint of the prior day and you have a long bias. So at that point, you're just watching, and then you came down, took out that low, but you had just a little doji bar here, and then you had the red to green kind of move here, and I shot a video how I bought some calls here, looking at that 2 down, 2 up reversal at an area after it took out some liquidity and with a continuity to the upside, and it kind of grinded its way higher, and there was your morning trade essentially, however you wanted to play it. So now at that point, you're watching the market, and you can kind of sense that we're not really taking out those highs. It could have continued, but you had a red bar here, the first kind of solid red bar, and then you had a big red bar. And at that point, I shot a video how I bought some puts for a kind of a secondary trade on the day, because once you get a big red bar like that, that's not the orderly pullback that you want to kind of make one more push up to those highs. You can kind of sense that that's not going to develop given the nature of that pullback. And I was kind of anticipating, just given the exhaustion on the daily chart overall, that you might want to be pausing here, and the pause would be taking out those pre-market and intraday lows, and that's exactly kind of what happened. So there was kind of a little high probability move to the downside once you saw this bar forming if you wanted to do a secondary trade. So now we end up, we're starting out here, with a red kind of bar to start the week. Here's the open, this green line. So as long as we stay kind of below there, and the market, after hours moved a little lower, we have to be biased to the downside in the short run, but we'll look for reversals back up. It might not happen. We still on the daily chart can come down, 2 down day. We then kind of maybe heading into this gap, and quite frankly, you never know if we're going to really continue lower. If we take out the midpoint of this week, then all of a sudden, there's a little gap in here. So this might be a negative week forming. You never know. But if we somehow come down, if we do come down and then somehow hold in this area, and maybe we have a 2 down, 2 up bar, or some kind of there's a lot of different kind of failures and reversals back up. Those will be good trades to the long side. But for now, until you have you get above the open of the week, and you have the red reversal bar, you're going to have to look for a little lower and play it that way, knowing that you might at some point bring in some buying, but you still kind of play the short side. And if we do fail to reach certain targets on the downside, that'll set up nicely for this red target to the red line. So today, kind of a tricky day in terms of, or just a day that was neutral in terms of the open, but you did get your red to green move here for a good trade in the morning. And to me, structure-wise, I kind of look at the structure in terms of approaching intraday highs and lows and orderly pullbacks and everything. So once you got this big red drop, that kind of nullified heading up higher for the day, and it in fact moved lower to end the day to the downside. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Anticipating a little follow through to the downside. We'll just see how much momentum may develop, and if it's possible that this week might fail. But we're going to kind of monitor the midpoint of this week of prior week to kind of determine that.